Welcome back to another continuation of Trains of the 810, where I bring my hometown trains to you. And today, this series will be making its comeback by showcasing what I caught over the months of July and August. And yes, I'm showing what I caught over both of these months for my end of summer special because I haven't really caught all that much during these past 2 months due to other trips and personal reasons, which also defies my short hiatus from uploading. But this episode will be covering mostly CN Flint subcatches, surprisingly, during a time period of when it was, yet again, delivering the most unexpected of things. But enough yammering. Let's get to our first train, shall we? For this first train, I was on a quest. On the bright afternoon of July 16th, I was hunting down CSX L306's westbound run because at the time it had an old C40-9W number 9041 on the cycle and it was leading the westbound run. When the time finally lined up for me to be able to get it, the chase was a bit more difficult than I initially anticipated. So I was only able to see it coming off of the transfer, then rolling onto the Saginaw sub around North Kearsley. Yep, after Z127 deliberately held this thing up, I unfortunately do not have enough time to chase it to a better spot, nor film the whole thing for this part of Trains of the 810. I'll give this another whirl another time, get a good photo for the thumbnail, so there you have it. Unfortunately, yeah, Z127 did hold this thing up, and this was actually the only time I was able to see this clapped out Dash 9 leading the foreign flyer, and that was not the only thing I had to lose. There were quite a bit more things running around in the month of July that I had to miss, including CN 3008 leading A492 a few weeks later, amongst other things. Though during my hunt for that, I managed to get footage of newly repainted HESR Jeeps leading 701 through north of Duran, then later a grain train stopping just south of Kearsley Junction in Flint on LSRC territory. So I guess to push that slight negativity aside, let's move on to some of the real sauce. Fast forward to August 17th, where a CN U713 ethanol train was running with, out of all things, UP 6318, an AC44 still in the Southern Pacific paint, was trailing. However, I was come back up north from down south when it got closer and closer to my location, so I had to chase it further east, captured here at the Lake Pleasant Road crossing in Attica, Michigan. nice. Got him after some chasing. 2 GS Type 1s too. My toured this crossing. So that was quite crazy and unnecessarily difficult to chase, but I got it right. But we're still not done on this day. After U713 cleared Attica, I went to Lapeer to meet up with some friends, and the next train we captured would be CN M397 with an NS Givo trailing. As you can see here, M397 also met up with a very late M396, which we will then get, as well as CN M301 soon after, both of which having ex-City Rail units on them.
396, look it on the north side, marker hanging over. Roger, thanks for the look.
I'm talking over the radio.
29, 49 out.
The back end of. Friday at 6:40 p.m. That would be M396.
So that day was pretty nifty, but things were only going to get better on the Flint sub from here. Fast forward to August 26th, I would get word about CN M399 having an old standard cab Dash 8 number 2022 trailing on it, bound for long-term storage down in Louisiana soon after it gets dropped in Kirk Yard. This Dash 8 was also going to be the first of handful that's going to be sent out on 399 to Kirk before getting sent down on the old IC for storage. So naturally, I went out to my spot in Durand, Michigan at the Byron Road crossing to snag it. Check it out. And immediately after M399 cleared, here comes my next surprise that I saw on the Charlotte rail cam before I left the house. CN L501 with CN 8953 leading, an SD70M-2 that sports a Leslie RS3L horn. Another malfunction. This time from both directions, man. Fixed up the rail joints, but they can't fix up the crossing. Wow. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. But fast forward 2 days later on a rather rainy day, my buddy Joseph of Joseph Train on the Track decided to come up north to visit the Huckleberry Railroad on his birthday, with their 50-tonner number 12 leading their 12 o'clock train this day.
And then, what?
I'm like filming an intro clip. It's fine. So that was pretty neat to revisit. It's been a while since I actually caught any Huckleberry Railroad train. Now with that said, let's show the final and highlight catch of the episode. But except, this one was caught on September 5th, and I decided to slap this clip into the video anyway since I didn't feel like I had enough footage for this episode as it was. But anyway, on this day, CN M399 yet again brought something special. And no, it's not NS 1065 like it had on August 30th somehow. This was another standard cab Dash 8, but just not any other's Dash 8. This one was 2113, a 15th anniversary Dash 8, also bound for long-term storage down south in Louisiana, caught here at the Reed Road crossing just east of Durand. Check it out. But anyways, that's enough trains I had for y'all for today. So thanks for watching, and if y'all enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I got some special videos in the making, so stay tuned. But wherever I may be next, I hope to see y'all trackside. Over and out.